Hi, my name is Jennings. I am 22 years old. I graduated from the University of Florida. You can see my middle picture, my pride and glory, graduating from the University of Florida. I graduated a year ago in 3 years, and right now I'm doing my Master's of Digital Strategy from the University of Florida. I am on TLC's I Am Jazz, where I proudly support my entire family and my transgender sister. And I don't know if you guys watch the show, but over the years, I've kind of just developed into a much stronger ally and advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. And now I'm really trying to get into speaking. So I'm super happy to be here and being able to speak and kind of share my story and my journey. So,
my sister was biologically born a male, but by the age of 2, she expressed that she knew she was a girl. At age 5, she began her social transition, and today, she is the proud woman she always knew she was. I am so proud of her for being her authentic self, and I will always support her and the rest of the LGBTQ plus community as an ally to all.
So that's actually a TikTok I recently created. And right now I'm just a super active advocate and ally. But my allyship journey did not just begin as being a strong ally. So initially when my sister transitioned back in 2005, I was young. I was obviously supportive of my sister and the entire LGBTQ plus community, but I think I was like 8 at the time. So I didn't really know what being transgender was, what LGBTQ plus really even meant. But obviously when my parents said your brother is now your sister, I said, okay, I'm supportive. So I was super supportive, and my family went on I Am Jazz, a Family in Transition on OWN, Barbara Walters' 2020 special, where my sister kind of announced her transition to the entire world. And then now on TLC's I Am Jazz, which began back in 2015. On my appearances on all these shows, I was always super supportive of my sister and of the LGBTQ plus community. But aside from that, I never really went out of my way to use my influence to share my story and try to really share what it was like being the brother of someone in the LGBTQ plus community. I was an ally, but I never really displayed allyship. And I'll go into kind of the distinction between that in a little bit. It wasn't until about 2 years ago when I actually was in Las Vegas and I went to an influencer conference. And I was working with a company and we were going for CES. It's like a large consumer electronics show. But it just so happened there was an influencer conference 2 days before. So I'm like, I need to go to this. My calling, I just felt like I needed to do it. I had a decent social media following, but I never really did any advocacy or anything like that. And at that event, I really learned that my voice matters and that my story matters. And yes, I was always amplifying the voice of my sister, and I still do so today. But I also realized that it was important to share my allyship journey and who I was as a person, because there's a lot of siblings for every, well, not for every, because obviously there's some only childs, but for almost every LGBTQ plus person, there's an LGBTQ plus sibling. And so I realized that I need to start sharing my story. And so today, it is one of my main passions in life. I wanted to serve as a role model for all LGBTQ plus siblings and all cisgender and heterosexual people. I want to normalize straight allyship. I want to show that, hey, listen, you may not be identified with the LGBTQ plus community, but their rights matter too. And everyone in this chat, whether you're an ally or you're LGBTQ plus, your rights do matter. And you guys do have a voice. And I encourage you guys all to use it. I also just recently became the chief marketing officer of a Pride company called Pride Palace. If any of you guys are interested in any Pride gear, that's one way that I'm kind of encouraging everyone to physically display their allyship or their love for being their authentic self. So I'm doing that. And then I work with a lot of nonprofits. I work with the nonprofit called I Plan to Live. My family has a nonprofit called the Trans Kids Purple Rainbow Foundation. And I'm just constantly trying to raise awareness and acceptance and support for the LGBTQ plus community. And that's kind of where I am today on my allyship journey. So I have a question for all you guys. You can either, one, keep it to yourself, because I know it's a question that it's something you might want to keep it up to yourself. But if you guys would like to answer it, you can maybe give like a little wave or something in the chat. But something I recently read, and I knew, but like then I saw it for real and I saw the numbers, was that a record 4.5% of American adults identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, according to the new Gallup estimate. So the question I have for you guys is, how many of you guys that are watching this identify as LGBTQ plus, and then how many of you guys are allies? Maybe put it in the chat, or if you want to just keep it to yourself, feel free to do that. But I'm curious, and just think in your head, how many of you guys? And then in society, 95% of people are not LGBTQ plus. So I obviously don't have all the numbers and don't know how many, but I'm sure a large portion of you guys do identify, and that's at this GSA. But how many allies? I know some of the sponsors said they were allies, which is awesome. And that kind of brings me to my point of why I'm really trying to normalize straight allyship, because it can't just be LGBTQ plus people fighting for LGBTQ plus rights when only 4.5% of the population is LGBTQ plus. 95% is not. And a lot of times it's up to LGBTQ plus people to try to encourage more people to be allies, or allies like me who serve as role models. So what is an ally? I'm an ally, and an ally is someone from a non-marginalized group who uses their privilege to advocate for a marginalized group. And the word ally is not just for the LGBTQ plus community. I obviously am most vocal about my support for the LGBTQ plus community, but I support Black lives. I support I support any marginalized individual in society, and I think it's super important for all LGBTQ plus people to do the same, because we need to be supporting Black lives as well, especially Black trans lives at these times, because like you want their support, then we have to support them as well. So I think that's super important to recognize that ally involves being an ally to all marginalized individuals. So these are 8 ways that I personally feel is the best way if you want to be an ally. And I know a lot of you guys might identify as LGBTQ+, but at the end of this, I'm going to get into like how you guys can encourage people and allies to do this. So one of the first things I say is to listen. It's important as an ally that you are listening to the LGBTQ+ community and listening to their voice. Sometimes love is greater than understanding. As an ally, I learn something every single day from either my sister or someone in the LGBTQ+ community. And I recognize when I don't have all the answers. So it's super important to listen so that you could have that love and hopefully create more understanding. But it's okay if sometimes you don't understand everything. Another important thing is amplifying the voices of others. So I personally recognize that there's so much work that has come before me, especially between LGBTQ+ people, but also some allies who have fought for LGBT rights since Stonewall, just over the years. And so I, as an ally, am sharing my story, but that comes second behind amplifying the voices of the LGBTQ+ community. So as an ally, it's super important to recognize the work that's come before you. The one thing that my family really lives by, if you guys do watch TLC's I Am Jazz, you really do know that we are all about showing unconditional love and support. And as an ally to everyone, I am always showing my unconditional love and support. And I just want to let every single one of you guys know that I unconditional love and support every single one of you guys that are watching this. And I encourage you guys to unconditionally love and support everyone in your life. Be an ally to everyone. So yeah, the one thing that I think most allies do the least that is the most important thing related to like active allyship is advocating. So for example, when I was younger, I might have heard people make jokes about someone being gay. And even though I supported my transgender sister, I might have allowed that to happen. And even you guys who might be hanging out with your friends, you guys, they might make jokes or something. You guys might hear jokes like that. When you guys hear stuff, it's not a joke. Make sure you're correcting other people. Make sure you're always constantly advocating for the LGBTQ+ community as an ally or an LGBTQ+ individual. It's super important. It really, really is. And it allows you to educate other people as well. new thing that I see that a lot of people are talking about in terms of allyship is gendering and naming people correctly. It's something I never had realized was so important, but I do now know is so important. So that kind of comes with the love is greater as understanding. I didn't understand that, but now I do. My pronouns are in my bio now. My pronouns are he, him, if I didn't say it earlier. And it's just super important to gender and name people correctly as an ally and as someone in the LGBTQ plus community. If you want people to respect your pronouns and your name, then you need to do the same. Creating a safe space is also super important as an ally. You don't always want to ask questions. So that was one thing that would have been my top 8. I actually had it on the slide and I was like, I need to take it out. I've heard from LGBTQ plus people that they don't particularly love when you ask questions all the time, because you could go out and educate yourself, which is actually the next thing. So as an ally, by creating a safe space, you're encouraging the LGBTQ plus individual to hopefully feel comfortable telling you their pronouns they identify as, especially for non-binary people. And by creating that safe space, you'll get the answers you need. And then if you do have questions based on that, it's better to ask questions than obviously misgender someone or something like that. So then educating yourself. By educating yourself, then you won't have as many questions. As an ally, I've gone out, I've read so much stuff, and I'm constantly educating myself to make sure that I could be a strong voice for the LGBTQ plus community. And if you guys have family members who need to, who want to be better allies, encourage them to educate themselves and encourage them to do all these things that I've said here today. The last thing that I just live by is positive affirmations. It's super important to tell people you love them. Tell people their hair looks good. This is more of a general thing as either an ally or just a general principle to live by. But positive affirmations really do go a long way. I know everybody in here loves to be complimented. I love to be complimented. It's a humanly thing. You love to be complimented. So by providing positive affirmations, especially as an ally, you're really able to create that safe space, and you're really able to make that person feel comfortable and maybe make that person's day. You really never know what someone's going through. And just like on the topic of mental health, kind of where it goes with that, like you really never know someone's going through, especially during COVID. So if you need to be an ally in that way for someone struggling with mental health issues, that's another huge thing. Positive affirmations. So I think another video might be coming up on this slide.
Hi everyone, Nemo here with my best friends Sandra Jennings, Jazz Jennings, and Kale Williams. Today, we are going to speak about the difference between authentic allyship and performative allyship. An authentic ally is someone who uses their privilege and platform to advocate for marginalized groups. Performative allyship negatively impacts marginalized groups because it's based on clout and public recognition rather than social reform. When being an ally, recognize a few things. First, recognize the work that has come before you. You are not starting from scratch. Second, let marginalized voices lead. See how you can amplify their reach. Third, accept criticism. If someone in a marginalized group says you've done something wrong, listen and learn from them. As an authentic ally, Sandra uses his privilege and platform to protect, speak against, and support Jazz and Kale by amplifying their voices. Be an ally and join us in creating a world full of justice, peace, and love.
So that was a video I recently did with a nonprofit called I Plan to Live, where, like I said on the last slide, I actually thought it was probably about 2 weeks ago, that performative allyship was a good thing. I was kind of debating the person and I was like, performative allyship is a good thing. Isn't that where you're showing your active allyship, performative allyship? And this video taught me a valuable lesson about allyship, so I thought I needed to put it as its own separate slide to really go deeper into it. So an authentic ally is someone who transfers the benefits of their privilege. So for me, as a heterosexual white male, I have some privileges. It's not something that we need to hide from in society. Like, there is such thing as privilege in society. And so I'm making sure that I use kind of my privilege and using my voice to help out the LGBTQ plus community, the Black community, and all communities. And like I said on the last slide, it's important to recognize the work that comes before you. That's being authentic and not expecting a reward for being an ally. Not just jumping on the train just because you feel like you have to because everyone else is talking about it. Being an ally involves you saying, I need to make a post about allyship today, or I need to be an ally today. I need to do something and go out of my way and not expect a reward. I need to do the reward is I know I'm helping the LGBTQ plus community. On the opposite end, a performative ally is someone who expects some kind of reward. It's like a famous person who decides, today I'm going to finally talk about allyship for the first time ever. And I'm going to do it because everyone else is talking about it. I know it's trending, so I'm going to get more followers from it. It's like, no, that is not being a good ally. And like, people will praise you, but in fact, you shouldn't feel good about it. So it's important that you encourage people to be authentic allies and not performative allies. They can't just be performative and think, I want to be on the right side. I want to be a good person. It can't be like that. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be genuine. And it needs to be active. So recently I participated with my friend who is transgender, and we did a big social media campaign that we called Allyship is Allowed. And the premise was we had a bunch of people hold boards and say, if you are silent while LGBTQ folks are bullied, you are part of the problem too. That is indeed a fact. If you are silent while LGBTQ folks are bullied, you are part of the problem too, and you are not an ally. It's super important that allies use their voice and recognize that their voice matters, because you could encourage other people to be allies too. Social media has really changed the game for the entire, any social movement. And I am a digital strategist, like I said at the beginning, at the University of Florida. So I'm very big on using my platforms to try to create change. And this was one initiative that I did. After this, you guys should definitely go check it out and maybe make a post about it or encourage your friends, because I'm trying to help normalize allyship and grow a community of allies. And it's super important that allies are speaking up and being active, because active allyship is essential. So since I know a lot of you guys are identify within the LGBTQ plus community, and now that I talked about how to be a better ally, hopefully you guys will apply them so you can be a better ally to all individuals, but also you'll inform your allies. And so here's how you can help your allies. First of all, it's important to be open with them. Obviously, some things people want to keep to yourself, so share what you feel comfortable sharing. But if they're creating a safe space and really trying to get you to open up to them, do so. They want you to tell them when there's something wrong. If you're being bullied, let them know. They want to be there for you. Allies want to be there for you. I know for me personally, when I always tell Jazz, like, please come to me if you ever need anything. So be super open with your allies, because that will allow them to be a better ally. Nurture your allies by reciprocating your support. So yes, they're being an ally to you, but be an ally back to them, because they might be struggling with their own issues in life. And by showing that you reciprocate your support, it's super important and can help turn them into better allies. As I said before, we make mistakes. I didn't know what performative allyship was like 2 weeks ago, and it's important to understand that we will make mistakes. The person who I was speaking with about it, who helped me create that video, was like, first of all, I just want to say how much I appreciate you, because you didn't understand, but you let me teach you, and now you do understand. And now look at me, I'm advocating it to you guys, and I will continue to advocate it, and I posted it on my social media. So understand that your allies will make mistakes, especially if maybe you just came out and as transgender or something, or you know someone who has, like, they might misgender you. They might ask you questions that are wrong, and yes, you maybe could take a little offense to it because you want to show that, like, it's not okay. But at the same time, you need to take a deep breath and be like, it's okay, and understand that they will make mistakes. And then provide them with education when necessary. If you think you could educate them properly on something that maybe they're messing up, do so. And then encourage them to educate themselves at the same time, because you're not their book. Like, you don't need to be providing everything for them. You need to encourage them to go out and do their own thing too. At the same time, sometimes don't ask for too much. You have to respect boundaries of all allies and LGBTQ plus people. And I'm going to skip over to this one, because this is one thing that I kind of struggle with as an ally, and I feel like it's super important, is to not make your allies feel uncomfortable by questioning their sexual orientation. So for me, Like, I post a lot of LGBTQ related content, and the amount of times that I've been asked if I'm gay is a lot. And I don't get mad, I don't get angry, because like I'm very comfortable with I'm very comfortable with who I am as a person, and that's what's helped me become an even better ally. And that's why you guys need to do some of these things to help your allies become even more comfortable. It's taken a lot of time, but I have become more comfortable. But sometimes when I'm asked, Sander, like, are you gay all the time? It does definitely, it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, because that's not a question that I should be asked just for being an ally. And it could discourage allies. For me, I'm steadfast, like I'm never looking back, like I'm going forward and always going to be an ally. But for some allies, if they start getting questioned if they're gay all the time, then they might hold back their allyship, and we definitely do not want that. Encourage them to amplify your voice. If you have something that you want shared, talk to your allies and be like, hey, can you help me get this message out there? It's super important that allies are sharing and amplifying your voice, and that you encourage them to do so. So they might not do it on their own without you asking them. But like I said, don't always ask for too much, but sometimes if you really need a message out there, ask. If they say no, then you understand their boundaries in a way, but like, it doesn't make them a bad ally either, but like, try to encourage them to do it. And lastly, show your appreciation. It is essential to show your appreciation. Tell your allies you love them. Show back those positive affirmations. Reciprocate your allyship back. So then I just added this slide in here today because I know I was asked to talk about this, and it's a super important topic, and it's something that I have faced, and I know my sister has faced, and I know a lot of LGBTQ plus individuals face. So 59.5% of LGBTQ plus students feel unsafe at school because of their sexual orientation, 44.6% because of their gender expression, and 35% because of their gender. That's from GLSEN. So here is my logic on bullies. So first off, I probably received 10% of the hate compared to what my sister receives, but I have received hate, and so I do have some kind of experience to kind of talk on this and talk about how my sister's handled it as well, and how I encourage you guys to handle it. So like I said, I was not as big of an ally until more recently, and more recently is when I really been bullied even more. But I can look back to my grade school experience, elementary school, when I was bullied and I never knew why. And I look back now and I think I know why. It was because of my sister, because I was supportive of my sister. But more recently, I've been kicked out of bars at college. I was pushed into a pool once. I was told that I should not go to my fraternity events. Like, someone went in front of my whole fraternity and said, Sander and Griffin should not come to our events because they're allies. Like, it happened. That's bullying. And it hurt to hear it. And I was bothered, and I stood up for myself. And then I have my social media where I receive a lot of hate. And here's my opinion on all of that encompassing, especially cyberbullying. Those people are hiding behind screens. They can't touch you. Can I touch you guys right now? Look, I'm trying to. I can't. They can't touch you, and they're obviously struggling with some sort of internal struggle, or they were raised in some way, and they're on this so far spectrum that they're just not going to be reached. And those are the people that in your life, and those haters, try to block them out. I know it's hard, but like, really do try to block them out. Don't come from a place of hate back either. Don't fight back. Allow them to feel their satisfaction for commenting on your post. I mean, the amount of times on my TikToks people say two brothers when I post a picture with my sister. I don't comment back very rarely. Occasionally I might, because I recognize that they're hiding behind a screen and they're coming from their own internal struggles. And if they're willing to come onto my post to put me down, or they tell me I don't look good, I look fatter or something, like anything of that matter, and I'm just like, you're coming onto my account, you don't have any followers, you don't even have a picture on your page, you don't have any posts, and you're coming to me. Don't let that stuff bother you guys. Don't let other people bring you down. If it's someone who's bullying you in person, then please go tell someone. Don't be afraid to speak up about bullying, and talk to your allies to have them help you. Bullying is not okay. No one should go through it. And I just encourage you guys all to let haters be your motivators. And I promise you that no one across the screen is going to hurt you. So stay strong, and that's how you handle bullies. And also, if you guys have more questions after this, here's all my social medias. I do go through my Instagram DMs. Right now I'm a little bit backlogged. I've been so busy with other stuff, but like I will try to get around to your guys' questions if you want to go to my Instagram and ask them. And then I encourage everyone to go, especially on TikTok. I do a lot of allyship and LGBTQ plus related stuff. So definitely go check me out on my other social medias. I do appreciate that. Someone said they love my TikTok. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you guys do go follow me on TikTok and on Instagram, please comment on my stuff. I want to see, like, I'm so happy to be here, and I'd love to see you guys being interactive with my page. And I'm probably going to post, I actually am filming this, so I'll probably post it on YouTube. Would love for you guys to help amplify my voice as an ally as well, so we could try to reach more allies when I do post that YouTube video. Or if any of my TikTok content, please share with your friends to encourage them to be allies, or if they're LGBT+, to show them that there's a safe space on my pages. So definitely go check me out on all that stuff.